Hey y'all, in a previous video, we trimmed out this window here in my garage. Today, we're gonna look at filling nail holes, sanding, staining, polyurethaning, and then finally, caulking our seams to close it out. Let's get into it. Hey, I'm Scott, and I love working with my hands and trying new things. Welcome to our little corner of YouTube, where our goal is to give you the knowledge and the confidence to tackle that next project all on your own. Let's make some mistakes, learn some skills, and save thousands with me, all slightly above average, from your driveway to your doorway. All right, so today we're going to start out filling some of these nail holes you see here. These are just a byproduct of nailing all this thing in. Even with a trim nailer, you're still going to have pretty noticeable holes that you're going to need to fill before you can get your final finished product here. So what I'm going to be using today is this DAP plastic wood. There are better products out on the market for this, but I do particularly like this one. They also come in different shades. So this one is white, which isn't ideal, but again, it's what I have and we're all about saving money. So that's what we're going to use here today. It'll be fine. This is paintable, stainable, and of course, sandable. So all you really want to do here is you want to take just a small amount. You know, a lot of these things will recommend putting these on a trowel or a scraper. Just squeeze out a little amount on your fingertip. Whoops. And all you got to do is take it, and then you're just going to smash it into each of these little holes. Now, a little bit goes a pretty long way here. So you just want to take it, and the idea is sort of to pack it into that hole to try and fill the gap. So I'm going to grab a little bit more on my finger here, just come back through, and just keep packing it in. Now, on the package, it says to wait quite a long time for it to dry. I think some even say up to 12 hours, but that's a little bit ridiculous. This stuff dries in just a couple of minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work my way around the window. As you see, these holes are easily being filled with this hole filler here. So I'm going to go ahead and fill all the holes, and then I'll check back in with you guys when it's time to sand. All right, I've got all these nail holes filled. It took me, I don't know, probably 10 minutes, maybe even a little less. And I did a pretty sloppy job, to be honest with you guys, and that is A-okay. If nothing else, it'll prove the point that you really don't have to be super careful with this, and it'll sand out really nicely, and you won't even be able to tell that this is a complete and total mess at this point in time. So what you're going to want to do next is grab something to sand with. For me, I just have a sanding block. I really like these. You definitely don't need one. You can use an orbital sander if you have one. Whatever you got is going to be perfect. And I have 120 grit paper on here. I really like 120 grit. It's super versatile. You can use it for a lot of things. It's kind of middle of the road. So if you're only looking to buy one package, I'd go with 120 grit. So all you're going to do is you're going to come in and quite literally just sand away until everything surrounding the edges is completely gone. So you see as I sand here, we're starting to really work away at that excess. And as you're cleaning it up, it's going to leave just those spaces that have been filled. And you can see there's no longer a hole there. You see that nice white texture, and it's smooth to the touch. That's kind of your indicator that you're going to stop. Sometimes if you got really bad holes, you might need to put 2 coats on, but it's pretty uncommon for stuff like this if that's the case. So as you can see, I'm just coming along with that 120 grit sandpaper. Really doesn't take much. Sanding away what's there. And again, like I said, it's been maybe 10 minutes. This stuff's dry and ready to come off. So despite what the package says there, that'll do you pretty good. And as we zoom out here, you can see it leaves you with a nice smooth finish. So I'm going to finish up sanding the rest of my trim, and I'll see you guys back here when I'm done. All right, I just finished sanding all of my wood filler off, and as you can see, it really helps to clean it up. Take it down to that nice smooth wood. Now, I did forget to mention, you probably want to consider wearing a mask of some variety when sanding. It does go everywhere. This stuff's nasty. You don't want to get this in your lungs. You'll have coughing fits for days, so on and so forth. So, you know, I didn't go really nuts, but I did make a point to sand everything else while I was in here as well, just to make sure that it's nice and smooth so that it will take our stain, which is our next step here. All right, now that everything's sanded nice and smooth, we're going to go ahead and take some painter's tape and just mark off the areas that we don't want to be stained. I have blue painter's tape. It's about 1.5 inches, I think. So all we're going to do is we're going to get a piece started up here in the corners. And we're going to press it in nice and tight, being sure not to overlap the wood too much. It's okay if you have a little bit of overlap. I'll do the trick for that. I'll show you in a second. So we'll go ahead and rip there. Run your finger up to get it down nice and tight. Now, if you did end up with a little bit of an overlap, there's two things that you can try. The easiest is to take something like this with a fine tip, like a pick, maybe a screwdriver. And what you can do is you can just take it and run it all the way down the side. And what that's going to do is it's going to score it. And then eventually you can rip it and peel it off. Or you can take a good old handy dandy utility knife. Same exact thing. Just take it, score it down the sides. And what that's doing is not only cutting the tape, but it's also pushing it into the crack between your jamb and the window. And it's helping to kind of fold it around that edge, and it'll give you a little bit better coverage in the end. So what I'm going to do is take my tape, finish taping the whole window, and I'll see you guys back here then. All right, I've got everything taped up on the window here, which means I'm ready to go stain next. So the stain I have today is some junk I found in my cabinet. Driftwood. It's a Minwax 2126. So if you like the color, there you go. Check your cabinets for some junk. Two ways you can put stain on. Actually, there's more than two ways, but two very common ways. Some people prefer to wipe it on with a rag. So you can just get yourself a really cheap rag like this. Just go ahead and dip the rag into the stain. And then you just rub it right onto your wood. Like so. Or some people buy a really cheap paintbrush. I think these are quite literally less than $2. And you would just toss it when you're done because they're kind of junk. You can dip the tip of your brush in and then achieve the same effect by just sort of painting the stain on. So I think today I am going to go ahead and use the brush as that tends to go a little bit faster. But what you want to do is you want to put it on and check your can because each stain is a little bit different. Generally, they say about a 10-minute wait time after application for you to go back and to wipe it off with a dry rag. So I really like to soak mine in because I like that darker color. This stuff's a little bit lighter than what I was hoping for. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on pretty heavy. And I'll get it all put on and then I'll check back with you guys in 10 minutes and we'll walk through how we wipe it off. Alright guys, we're back. You might notice that the color behind me is a little bit different. Turns out that driftwood looks like split pea soup. It was pretty awful, but that's okay. So what I did is I just lightly sanded it after it had dried, and as long as you're going to a darker stain, it's going to work out just fine. So this what I have right here is a custom stain that I had made a few years ago to match the trim inside of my house. So all I did was lightly stained, came back with the brush, coated it on, and it's been about 10 minutes. So we're back where we were. I'm going to show you guys what it looks like to wipe this stuff off after you give it about 10 minutes to set up. So I've done a pretty heavy coat here. All you're going to do is take your rag, sort of just drag it down, and what it's going to do is remove that excess, and it's going to leave you with the nice rich color that it should in fact be. So as you're wiping, you can keep kind of flipping your rag around from one side to the other, just to make sure that it's getting a nice dry spot each time. You don't have to go nuts, just make sure you're getting the major stuff off, just like so. So just looking at this, I'm gonna need another coat because I can see that my the spots where I filled the holes still kind of show through, still mostly white there. So I'm gonna need to go back over, do another coat of this, touch back with you guys then. It's the next day. We're back. I got 2 coats of stain on all of our window here. As you can see, let each coat sit about 10 minutes, and then you're going to want to grab a rag, just wipe that excess off as we showed you yesterday. So it has sat overnight. Next step is to put our polyurethane on. Now our polyurethane is just a clear protective coating. You are going to want to allow a few hours between your stain and your polyurethane going on. I think the can says something like 4 to 6 hours. Overnight's a safe bet. You're going to want to let this cure so it's not still tacky when you go to put this stuff on. Now, when it comes to polyurethanes, you actually have quite a few options in terms of the finish that you want. So my personal favorite finish is this warm semi-gloss. It's made by Minwax. Again, this is polyurethane. This will put a little bit of a sheen on it, but also give it some of that kind of warm textury look. This is just clear satin. So all this does is it goes over the top, and it doesn't have as much of a sheen as you would get with a semi-gloss, obviously. Ironically, though, what I'm using today is a clear satin, except this is an exterior polyurethane. You know that because, well, it says so. Also, it's oil-based, which is typically only used for outdoors. However, like I said, I'm cheap. I don't want to go to the store, and this is what I have sitting around in my cabinets. So this is what we're going to use today. So it goes on exactly the same as stain. I prefer the brush. Just dip it in there. All you're going to do is you're going to come and you're going to wipe it directly over everything that is stained. And what this is going to do is just provide a nice seal, provides UV protection, provides water protection, makes it a little bit easier to wipe because it puts a nice smooth finish right over the top. You just run a wet rag right over it and clean it up. I'm going to get this done, and we'll touch back with you guys for a very last step, which is going to be caulking all of our window seams. See you then. Alright guys, I went ahead and started putting together my last video where we stained polyurethane this window. Realized it was getting a little bit long. So what I'm going to do is separate the caulking and the seams out into a different video. So if you guys are interested in the caulking part, go ahead, look for the next video on my channel, and we'll go through that, as that is kind of a time-consuming and a little bit more specific skill. Hopefully that video will reach more people that way. So if you consider liking and subscribing to the video, if this helped you out, that would be awesome, so I could go ahead and continue to get this knowledge out to more people and help them with their home projects as well. Remember guys, if I can do it, you can definitely do it. Take it easy guys.